Grading the interior curve of the wire for the cup, or for the band rather. So what we need to do is we don't want to forget about all of our other spots. So this one right here is going to be the exact same grade as here. Because it's 100% equal, we're just going to hit Control equal and select the other point. As you can see, it equals up the same. Now down here is also going to equal exactly this one. This one does not change. I guess you could, if you wanted to, bring it up a little bit, but it's pretty uniform at this point. So over on our side seam is the next point that we need to do. So we actually need to only copy the Y. So in order to copy the Y, so if you look here, we have the X, you can see the little arrow, the X, and the Y. So the X is going across and the Y is going up and down. So we actually want to copy the Y. So you see how we have these extreme angles? We want to get rid of those. So we're going to do this. We're going to just copy the Y. So we don't have to go in and copy every single point. We select that. You can go to Grading, Copy Y Only, right here. See, now you can actually see a couple of the grades that are like this. Now it's getting kind of narrow in here. We can keep this the same as long as there's enough room to do some sewing. But if you want, we can actually, so if you look over at the book, so here we actually have, we did the X and the Y. Now this is really kind of up to you and what your grading preferences are. Sometimes I'll change this if my angles are looking really strange. This one I'm using a vertical wire, so if you're using a regular wire, you really will need to grade most likely this amount right over here. For this one, because I'm looking at it and this is the vertical wire, this is still a reasonable amount and this is my biggest size. So I'm actually not going to change the X. If you were to change the X here, this point you would copy the X from here. And then these points, you're going to copy what's over here. So we didn't do anything to these, so these really don't have to change. This one, we're going to equal here. So we have that. Now this one, we actually do need to make some changes on. So we can change the Y. We won't necessarily change the X since it's all the same band size. So I'm going to go, we're going to copy Control, oops, actually we're going to copy the Y from over here. So you can see you've got a nice little shape. Now if you want to come in here and modify it for, let's say, a 3-row, 2-row, any other rows of hooks and eyes, you can make that decision over here and you can select which sizes you want to change. I'm just going to keep this as is. If somebody really wants to change this, they can. As you notice on here, your curve becomes a lot more kind of straight, and this may be something that you'd want to change individually. So you can actually take these pattern pieces and separate them. So right now, this one is actually, we completely graded for the whole range for the 38, right? This one's the 38. Yeah, I believe that's what it was. So I'm going to hit pause and then we're going to go on to the next one. Now we just have a few steps left to grade for the band size. Now when we're grading the band, I'm actually not going to touch the front of the bra at all. You can make some small adjustments, but what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to work on the back. So right now we have the 38J, which I believe is what we've been working on. And we are going to go and nest to pattern. So we're going to go, so we did the J, this is where we're at. So if we want to go up to the 40, I'm going to go to the K, and you'll see what this means. We're also going to uncheck this box. So we're going to have the K, click OK, and that one is going to be right here. Okay, so I'm going to try and move this down just a little bit. Oh, and I have so many other things right here also. Okay, so I'm probably just, I guess I can fit it right there. Okay. Now I'm going to go to grading, and I'm going to change the pattern size I'm working on. So now it's saying that I'm working on the K because I extracted the K. But what we actually want to do is we want to do the J. Since this is the same size we were just working on, I'll hit OK. And you're going to select option 2. We want to make all the sizes smaller or bigger. If we selected number 1, it basically would revert to, it's basically, option 1 is an undo. So we're going to hit option 2. So now if you look in, so let's just take a little quick look at here. And it should say that when we go to grade, it should say that it's the J, and it does. Okay, so this one is now going to be the 40. So, well, I'm not quite yet ready yet. So we now need to make this the 40. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do a parallel offset. So I'm going to go to modify, parallel offset. And basically it's just going to make it a little bit wider or narrower depending on what we're doing. Okay, so here I'm going to do 0.75 because that's what my stretch kind of was permitting. So this is what you would have created, part of your grade rules when you're doing your hand grading or hand drafting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. You're going to see, oh look, it just got longer. Hopefully you were paying attention. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do, I want to find my center point here. So I'm going to take that, go here, and this is a center snap. So this will find the exact center, so I can click it over here, and look, see, it puts it right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to create a guideline that's going to be from, how do we do this again? Okay, I believe it's from here to here. There we go. There's our guideline. Okay, now we're going to do a duplicate of that guide. And if we're going to be going to the left, this is actually going to be a negative. So this amount right here should be about half of what we did here. And we did 0.75 here, which is 3/4 of an inch. So we right here, we'll do 3/8 of an inch. So I did negative 3/8. So let's see if I'm doing this in the correct direction. You have to hit add, and then you hit OK. Oh, I did that in the wrong direction. Okay, so let's come back here. Modify, duplicate guide, 3/8. So I was going in the wrong direction. You hit OK. And another thing that I will also do is I'm going to do a guideline that is perpendicular to this. And I'm basically just going to scoot that down until it hits that point. See? So I now have an intersection right here. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to mouse this over, or arrow it down and over, so we have that exact point right there. And there we go. That is our 40. So I'm going to go ahead and label this as our 40. So I'm double clicking on it and it should be doing something. There it is. So back band 40. Okay, so this one was actually, let me go in here and make sure you don't lose this one. And I am upgrading my computer right now, so this is, we're still working on the old computer. Back band 38. So I can do the same thing here if I'm going to go up to a 42. So I'm going to go back to grading, nest to pattern, and I'm going to do the next size up again, which is the K. So now I'm going to have that here, and we're now going to go and change this pattern size set to J, option 2, from here, we're going to parallel offset this. Where is that? Parallel offset 0.75. Okay, so you got longer. Now, one thing I did just notice is that this is getting narrower. I'm going to come back when I'm all done and fix that. But let me go ahead and I'm going to delete this point. So I'm going to actually go in and find my center point again, right there. I'm going to do my guideline from here. Oops. What am I doing? Okay. Oh, that's wrong. That from here. See, I just touched the wrong button. And my computer likes to give me a little ding when it tells me that it doesn't like what it's doing. Duplicate guide. Same thing we just did on the other one. Add. Okay. And then I'll just remove these guidelines. And then we're going to take this and go perpendicular off that guideline. And then move that guideline down. Okay. And now I'm going to move this point over to the other intersection. See, if I go just straight to the left, it's too high. So I'm just coming down. Okay, so now I want to take a look at these points. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting the lines by hitting and holding down the Shift button. And then I'm going to hit the Control-Shift-M, and it shows me the measurements. So here we have 2 3/16. So I'm assuming that that's about what we need here. So in order to make sure that this, so now this point right here, this double arrow, that'll basically kind of take your line. So here I'm going to do that. It's going to take the line that you're on and just extend it. So that way it makes it a little bit easier on here. So if we're going to just kind of arrow up, you can see it's going to be way off the line. Oops. 2 3/16, and then I go over. And my daughter is calling me. So give me 1 second. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the same thing on this point. I'm making it my 2 3/16. Yep, and she's agreeing with me. So I'm kind of keeping it on that line. So I just had to kind of arrow it around. So this one is my 38, my 40, my 42. Now if I'm going to come down and do the 36, I'm going to do basically the same thing but in the other direction. So nest to pattern. So J is my starting. So this time I'm going to go to I. So I've got my I right here. Then I'm going to go down to pattern sizes, change it back to J. So you can see this is the exact same thing we just did going up. And you're going to do this for each band size. And once I'm going to do this on my own, and I'm going to let you work on this as well. And then I'll come back when it is all complete.